Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 15 of Mental Spelunking. In this episode, we talk about non-duality consciousness and deep lessons from movies like ET and Titanic. We discuss how each theme in these movies relates to spirituality, human connection, personal growth, offering unique insights into understanding themselves and the universe. This episode explores profound themes of human connection, the nature of freedom, and the importance of community. We also delve into past historical tragedies, personal stories, and philosophical questions about conditioning, altruism, and societal values. We hope you like this episode, and let's get into it right now. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 15. 15.
Ooh.
Hey, look at that. We're making some progress. We're going to be at 20 pretty soon here.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool, like it's fun. I'll say this, and for all of our listeners out there, it's fun to do something like this consistently. Just kind of get together once a month. Allison is way busier than me, so it's nice that she carves out some time to get on this podcast and tell us about what she's got going on and her views on things. And it's just nice to be able to connect, at least once a month. So, I feel very fortunate.
Aw, thank you. I really enjoy this. I feel very fortunate too. It's a gift to be able to be on this podcast.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. Hold on, I gotta get my the echo cancellation. Oh no, it's not working. Okay, whatever. Can't have it too high. Sorry guys. Even in episode 15, we're still having tech difficulties. We've kind of alleviated a lot of them, but still, there's still issues. And they're probably, you know what? At least you now know there's no AI, right? Like, at least you now know that we're just fumbling through this, trying our absolute best just to fumble through this. And I'm gonna put that in there. I'm not gonna fix that. But anyways, Allison, so what's going on? Tell us about what you got going on in your world.
What is going on? Well, I want to actually talk about the ideas that I've been playing around with as opposed to the things that I've been doing.
Let's lead into it. Just dive in.
So I've been thinking a lot about, this kind of follows, I think, from what we talked about last time, about this idea that the work that we've been doing with kids has been positioned in the space of consciousness. Sometimes it's connected to spirituality. Sometimes it's connected to mental health. It's got all these different, let's say, spokes that it's related to. And I'd been spending a lot of time writing about how it's related to consciousness and consciousness education. And last month, I just saw that I don't want to do that anymore. It's not the right way to talk about it. It just gets really muddled. And I've been thinking a lot about the perspective of no separation and non-duality as a cleaner, easier way to explain the philosophy behind the work that we're doing. And once I found that, everything just started to kind of flow. So I've been really marinating in this idea of no separation and non-duality as a perspective that allows for a lot of the things that we talk about, that might be spiritual concepts, that might be mental health concepts, that might be however you want to address them, but they just seem to easily fall out of that perspective. So that's what I've been thinking about. No separation.
So then I have a question for you. So then why do you think when you talk about consciousness or spirituality that it kind of gets muddled? Like what about the word spirituality or consciousness or whatever, do you feel that the work that you do or the stuff that we talk about doesn't kind of resonate?
Liam, that's a really good question. Part of it is that those words aren't well defined. So a lot of times I don't know that we're all talking about the same thing, which makes it very confusing. That's part of it. And I think the other part of it is I personally don't feel connected to those words. I feel connected to the experience of no separation. And maybe just as an aside, I should explain what that is in case, I think the word is clear, but just in case it's not clear so that people aren't listening going, what the hell is she talking about? So there's a perspective that we naturally experience, which is that I'm not you and you're not me and I'm not Liam and I'm not this microphone and whatever. That's the perspective we naturally take and an assumption we make that we never really talk about. And then there's another perspective. And I say perspective because it is just a way of looking at things. It's not, this is the truth. But there's another perspective that one could take, which is that what if there is no separation? What if I am you, you are me? What if I am the microphone? What if I am the trees? And if you take that perspective, how might you behave differently if that were true? And just playing with that idea of like, if this were true, what would be the consequences of it? And how would you live your life? And that to me just is so much easier, right? It's 2 or 3 sentences. Consciousness, I have to explain what that is first. Spirituality, I have to talk about what that is first and then explain how it relates. It's very, I don't know, long.
And you didn't do this on drugs, right? You just came up with this on your own, right? Like this isn't like...
No, I didn't do it on drugs.
Just checking.
Because people don't know me that well, it's probably not as funny to them of a question.
No, it's funny. It's such a funny thing.
I don't use substances.
No, Allison doesn't partake. I just wanted to ask because I was like, okay, like we're like 6 minutes in and this is heavy already. It's heavy.
Sorry.
It's like it's good.
It's something I've been thinking about. So I worked on this idea many years ago when I helped write a book on consciousness. So back in 2018. So it's been in my mind. That's probably also why it's just so much easier for me to switch to that. And it's been there because I had an experience of it, multiple experiences of it, not on drugs, just in life. And once you have that experience, it just shows you that it's a valid perspective. It is a perspective. One can have that experience. And so what comes out of that experience? What do we see from that perspective? When is it valuable? When is it not? Yeah, so that's where my mind has been this last month. Where's your mind been?
Well, I wanted to talk about Titanic, but we'll talk about this instead.
No, let's talk about Titanic. That's great.
No. This is good. This is actually good. Okay, so I've been trying. So just to tell the listeners, like I've been trying to talk about ET on our podcasts for a while, and every time I talk about ET, something crashes or something gets messed up, or we don't use that podcast because maybe I talked for like 90% of the time, and I'm like, well, this isn't, this is supposed to be a podcast with Allison and Liam, not just Allison with not just Liam with Allison in the background. And this is like the best segue I've ever had to be able to talk about ET, and I pray that the freaking universe allows this episode to get posted, because it's like I am never gonna have a better setup ever. I'm never gonna have a better setup. This is the best setup ever. Okay, so E.T., 1980s movie with Steven Spielberg. It explains non-duality so well at the start, okay? And it explains non-duality throughout the whole movie with E.T.'s relationship with the little boy that finds him. So, the aliens come, E.T.'s out there, all of them are out walking around, suburbia Los Angeles, which is like really funny. It's like, like of all the places that aliens wanted to come, they came to suburbia Los Angeles. Okay, fine.
They have good taste.
They've got great taste. And so they're like in like Tarzan, or I don't know where they are anyways, it doesn't really matter. And so they show up, and it's really cool because all the little beings, they have this kind of glowing heart. Okay, it's like this kind of red and white light that walks around. And then when one of them hears something, they all stop. They all feel the little glow balls in their heart light up, and then they all could feel and hear what that one was saying, or hearing, or whatever. And then once they realize that there's nothing there, they just keep going. They just keep going and doing their thing. And then when one of them recognizes that there is humans here, their little hearts light up, and they're like, oh, we all got to get back. But then ET unfortunately doesn't make it back, and he's got to stay. But he needs a connection, right? Like these beings they're connected. They have to be connected in order to kind of stay alive. So anyway, so he finds this little boy, and he connects to the little boy. So the little boy feels what ET feels, and he feels what the little boy feels. And there's this great scene where ET's at home, and he's getting drunk because he's drinking beer. And the little kid's in class, and he's drunk. And then, ET gets scared, so the little boy gets scared. And then ET's watching this movie with this like, I think it's I don't know. It looks like a Clark Gable movie. It's probably not a Clark Gable movie. But anyways, this boy and this man and a woman kiss, and at his school, they kiss. But the one thing that happens in that whole scene, which I thought was really interesting, was they were going to kill these frogs, and ET could feel that they were going to kill the frogs. So then ET was like, no, we can't kill these frogs. So then like the boy's like releasing all the frogs. Like, we got to get rid of the frogs. We got to save the frogs, right? And ET's like, yeah, we got to save the frogs. This movie explains the non-duality thing perfectly. And I would hope that anybody listening to this podcast goes and watches this movie, because it explains it so well. What Allison's talking about, where you feel like you are you and they are them, but you are them and they are you. It's kind of a little bit of like a mind puzzle, but it really encapsulates that, hey, like, we are all connected. And if we're all connected, then really we're just one big mass consciousness. So there you go. You just explained the consciousness part and the duality part at the same time. But anyways.
There's a show. I watched a show on Apple called Pluribus. Have you seen that show?
I have not seen Pluribus.
What?
No.
Okay, this is a momentous occasion. I have seen something that you have not seen.
Well, it's the same thing with The Good Place. I ended up going and watching The Good Place for a bit when you talked about The Good Place. Yes, I did. So and now to this day, whenever I see anybody with a personalized license plate, it's like they're going to the bad place. Or if I meet anybody that's lived in Florida, one of the two. Or if they like the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
So Pluribus imagines what's called in the show a hive mind, which is almost like an extreme example of non-duality. So everybody thinks, feels, says everything together. But there is no separation as far as I understand from the show. I'm not an expert in this show. I didn't watch it. I don't think I watched all of it, and I didn't watch it completely with this in mind. Someone just said to me, oh, you should watch this. But that was the sense I had from it. And there's a character who isn't part of the hive mind, who retains their separateness and their individuality. And what I thought was interesting about that show that seems different from E.T. was the fact that the two perspectives, the non-separateness and the separateness, seem to be encapsulated in the relationships in E.T. So both those things exist, and both perspectives do exist in our lives. Whereas in that show, they exist, but they exist in different characters. So you get the experience of separateness with the one character, or however many characters are not part of the hive mind, and then you get the non-separateness from the characters who are all part of the hive mind. So that show, I think, also kind of explains it, but not as well, I think, as what you were just saying about E.T. So maybe worth watching, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I just think it's such a really... I really do think that that music really encapsulates the non-duality. Because somebody's essentially imprinting themselves or imprinting their soul or whatever you want to say, right? Especially like if you, like, it was funny. I before Allison, Allison got into the podcast that here before we started recording, I was like singing September by Earth, Wind and Fire, and she was like, "Oh,
I love that song. I didn't know that's
song.
What you were singing. That's my favorite song.
And it's such a good song." And she was like, "Is that your daughter?" I was like, "No, I was just singing." And she said, "Oh, that's so great." But the thing that's great about September, right, is that, you know, there's such a resonance with that song that when it comes on, you want to dance, you want to sing it. Definitely can't get my falsetto as high as Maurice White, the guy that's the lead singer. But you know what? You try anyways. Doesn't matter. Like, there's just like a thing in that song, and there's music like that whereby you feel like you become a part of the song, and you actually kind of almost can feel like you become part of the song as the people were writing it or they're recording it or whatever. There's just there's a vibration in that song. It's not every song, right? There's some songs I'm like, this sucks, like this sucks, but someone else could feel the non-duality in that song, right? But I would say there's like universal songs that have that, right? Like that everybody just is, wow, I gotta dance, or I gotta do something. I just feel this little flutter inside me, and I gotta go. But I feel like music really, really encapsulates this non-duality as well.
I'd never thought of it that way. Yeah. So then once you have that experience, then you recognize a lot of the statements or the things that people say around spirituality, where they come from. So when people say something like, oh, you can't love someone until you learn to love yourself. Yeah. Well, if you understand that perspective, then obviously that's true. It doesn't even need to be said. It's just the amount of love you have for yourself is equivalent to the amount of love that you can give to someone else, because it's the same thing, because there's no separation.
Correct.
So that's why I thought it was so helpful. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I also think it's also there's a term where I had a woman that I used to work with tell me this. It's like how you vibrate is what you attract to, right? So in the non-duality, right, if you vibrate at A, there's people who are also vibrating at A that will then be attracted to you, right? And so it's like, if you don't love yourself that much, people who also don't love themselves will also be attracted to you, and so forth and so on as you keep going. This is why when you start to change, right? It's like when you sit there and you say, hey, you know what? Like when people, there's another kind of colloquial term in spirituality. It was like, you want to change the world, change yourself, which is true, right? Because if you want to change the world around you, you have to change yourself. It's not actually like you're going to change the planet like that. Like that's also where spirituality gets really messed up, where people become these messiah complexes. It's like, bud, okay? Like, I understand that you went and saw someone, you paid them $5,000 for them to tell you that you were Jesus Christ in a past life. By the way, everybody was Jesus Christ in a past life at some point. So, you're not special, but I'm glad you think so. I'm glad that you just blown your whole life up. You quit your job, you left your wife, you said, screw it, I have to go and be the Messiah now. It's like, okay, whatever, man, you do you. But it's imperative. Like, this is why when you do decide to change, when you do decide to actually say, hey, you know what, this is how I used to vibrate, or this is how this used to be, I'm not going to change this. This is why it actually can be quite disrupting to your life. Because if you have been attracting a certain type of people, and now you've changed, those people aren't really in resonance with you anymore. And so now you've got to go find new people that you're in resonance with. And so this is why it can be, like when you talk about non-duality, or you're increasing your vibration or whatever it is, right? It's not all just, everything is awesome, like in the Lego movie. It's, sometimes it can be very difficult.
Everything's not awesome from the second Lego movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's interesting too is that experience can be explained without spirituality also. Like, that's what I really appreciate about this perspective, is that it works on so many levels. So if you just if you have nothing to do with vibration, if you don't even think about that, but you just think, well, I now see the world differently, then the people who see it one way and aren't able to see it differently just go, I don't see what you're seeing. Right?
Yeah, well, and
we don't really get along.
Well, and the people that are in your life are actually a reflection of you.
Mm-hmm.
The people you hang out with are a reflection of you, because there's no separation, right? So then they are you, really. They're just in a different body. Like, I've had this whole thing. I don't know if you've ever had this, but like I have all these people that I've met, right? And then I'll go to other places and I'm like, oh my God, like this is you, just as like a banker in New York. And like they'll look the same, they'll have the same mannerisms. Like I'm in a class right now I'm in a class and there's a guy in this class. I'm like, oh my God, like you're like the guy that like you're like one of my friends in Vancouver. Like they look the same, they have the same hairstyle. Just this guy's older than my other buddy, but it's like I'm like, oh my God, it's like you're this guy just as a social worker in Toronto. And the amount of times I've gone on planes, people be like, man, do I know you? I'm like, I've got lots of doppelgangers out there, just an FYI. Like, there are lots of people out there that are like, you know, like, it's funny. It's like, I feel like I've known you. I'm like, maybe you do, but I've never met you before. I might have in a past life, you know, who knows? But that's the other thing with the non-duality. I'm like, oh my God, it's like, there's like all these different, like, same dude, or same woman, just in a different area of the world doing something different. So then I'm like, maybe there's an Allison in San Francisco, in Seattle, in California. There's just like, there's all these different Allisons, all these different Liams, all these different Katies, etc. And they're all just living their lives. But you know what I mean? I don't know. Anyways, it's like, that's a little bit more of a mind meld one where you're like, what is this guy talking about? But anyways.
I've thought about that when because I used to travel a lot and I would see something similar to what you're saying. I don't know what it is, but I did have this thought years ago of what if there are just like certain types and we just don't know how many different types there are, and every community gets its configuration of all the same types, so that from the smallest, from like inside the building to the city or to the town to the city to the state to the country, it's just replicated all the way out, that no matter where you go, there's always going to be a Liam and an Allison and a Katie. I don't know if that's true, but it used to occur to me that might be true.
Yeah, well, and then honestly, the universe is like, hey, if we want to disrupt the system, we'll bring in like a new person. We'll just be like, boom, there's a new thing. Here you go. And then, I don't know. I'm like, these people all look the same. Like, they even have the same mannerisms. I'm like, this is nuts.
Yeah. And then from another perspective, you could imagine that all of this is just socially constructed, so that, of course, they have the same mannerisms because they grew up in a similar environment or whatever. But the way they took the trajectory looks different. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely have met, though, people who are like the Spanish version of somebody I know,
totally.
Right?
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
It's like, I got a buddy of mine that's an investment banker in Toronto, and then I met his counterpart in New York, who was a biotech investor. And I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, you're the same dude. I'm like, crazy. I'm like, and then I'm like, what happens if they meet? Like, what happens if these people meet? It's almost like, it's like in Harry Potter, where, so Harry Potter in the third book, in The Prisoner of Azkaban, Hermione has this device that gets you to go back in time, so that she could take more than the allotted courses you could take in, you know, whatever, right? So it's like, she's like, I'm taking 9 courses. You're only supposed to take 5, but she's like, I can use this time thing. Dumbledore gave it to her. but they needed to use the time thing to save Sirius Black and to save Buckbeak, which is like this. I think he's a hippogriff. Anyways, it's like Buckbeak's this cool little. Anyways, like cool little animal. It's a hippogriff. You can go look up what a hippogriff is. It's like but it's interesting because in it, right, Dumbledore is like, you cannot, I repeat, you cannot be seen by yourself. Like if you in the future sees you in now, you could go insane. It's like one of these things. Like what happens if like you see your compatriot in New York and you're just like, well, what happens? It's just like, oh my God, like do you just like, is it like the Matrix? You just kind of like merge into one another? Like what's that guy's name? Anyways, the guy that's played by the guy that plays, anyways, he's like the main antagonist in it. Agent Smith, yeah. I think his name, Agent Smith, where it's like he just like would like, and he like takes over you. It's like, I don't know, maybe.
Well, now you've got to get them in the room together.
Oh, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know. I don't know if I want to. I don't want if I want to cause like a tempest. Like it's like no, not.
But I want to know. You've got to get the guy from Vancouver to come over.
Well, no. So the guy. So I have to. I don't know. Anyways, you know what? And they might just think I'm nuts. They might just be like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I have nothing to do with this guy. He has nothing to do with me. This is dumb. Why am I here? And then I'm sitting here being like, all right, well, I'm the one that's smoking something now. So
I would love it if somebody did that for me. If somebody out there knows somebody who's me somewhere else, I would love to meet that person because I'm so curious to know if I would see it in the same way. Like, what are people then picking up in me that they're saying, oh, this person is like you? I think that's so fascinating.
Yeah. But I wanted to say something quickly about the non-duality thing, right? Like, I think it's imperative that you have both. Like, you have the non-duality, but then you also have the individuated stuff, right? Because, you don't want to lose your like free will or your choice in if you want to change or not. It's just more just like of a general underlying thing, like, hey, we're all connected. Realize that we're all connected so that when you're doing things, you could be affecting other people. Your actions do affect others. Things you do affect others. That doesn't mean that you just like sit at home and do nothing. But it also means that you also need to understand that you do have free will and that, I don't know. That's what I was thinking.
No, I'm glad that you mentioned that because the separate part, the experience of separation from let's just say from my perspective is what is unique to humans and what allows us to be creative and not just artistically creative, but it's this ability to know that we have a past, bring the past into the present, which is happening all the time. That's how we have a sense of I and self, because the past is always with us. And our sense of I and self is constructed from all of our past experiences. So that ability to bring the past into the present and then almost manipulate that and to do something different or to imagine something different is our creative ability. And for me specifically, I recognize that this is not how people talk about consciousness, but it gets back to your earlier question. For me, that's our consciousness. And so this idea of like saying then universal consciousness gets confusing because there's a personal experience of consciousness that we all experience. And then when you use the same word to describe an experience of no separation, it gets really muddled and confusing.
Yeah.
So of course experiencing separateness is important. And we experience separateness because we experience a self and an I that's different from other identities. And when you recognize that we're creative beings and that we're creating all the time, from our past and from our experience, and you recognize this idea of no separation, then you recognize that your thoughts are, your thoughts are creative anyway. Your thoughts are creative. They create your mental state. They create your body state. Our actions obviously are creative. Our emotions are creative. They generate something within us, and they generate something within somebody else. So then it becomes really interesting to think about the responsibility that we have, it's in particular with our work with kids, to be aware of our thoughts, aware of how we're feeling in a space, because of course it's impacting the people there. And so for me, it goes a little bit deeper than just saying connected, because connected implies sort of cause effect, and non-duality, there is no cause effect because there's not a thing. So it's hard to put into words.
No, it's like you're from the same source. So if you're from the same source, like, you're going to be unique, but you're also going to be connected. It's like your little fingers, right? It's like they're all unique, right? It's like, here's a thumb and but they're all connected too. So, and like, what one does might affect the other, right? It's like, if I move this pinky down, well, maybe, or if I move this down, this one might want to come with it, or whatever it is, right? So it's at least that's
how are you doing that? How are you moving your pinky without moving your other fingers?
What, this one?
I can't do that. Oh,
But
maybe
this
no,
side's
see,
not
this
as
one
bad.
wants
This
to
side's
come.
this side's not as good.
This one I can do, but the pinky is like, it's like bringing
pinky's-
this one with it.
Yeah, exactly. You have to kind of think. But
How do
this
I move
side's
you
fine.
without?
You're
other
like
ones?
your pinky and your ring finger can get tethered together.
Huh. I need to work on that. Thanks for showing me that that's possible.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
and
on
like
this hand I
the-
can do it. This
the-
hand
the,
is like,
and your hand, like the tension in your hand can, like, if you have tension in your like subscap, and then it goes up into your rotator cuff, it can come all the way down through your tricep into your elbow, all the way down through into your pinky, and then that can actually tether these two fingers together.
huh.
So if you have tightness in your arm, you can actually radiate down all the way to your.
How fascinating.
So
How fascinating. Well, I'm going to
So, yeah.
practice this.
please.
It feels like a practice because on this hand I got it. On this one.
Usually on your dominant
yet.
hand, your dominant hand's pretty good. Usually, but.
Oh, my non-dominant hand has got it down.
Well,
It's
then
like,
there
we're
you go.
free. My dominant
yeah.
hand's like, ah.
So.
Thanks for sharing that, Liam.
Yeah, no problem. So, I do. Do you want to still keep talking? Do you have more on non-duality?
No, we could talk about Titanic.
We should talk about Titanic.
All right.
So first off, I rewatched it recently. It's an amazing movie. You know, like, when I think, because I went to see it when I was a kid with my parents, and I remember just being like, this thing is so long. But I saw it, I watched it again, and I was like, man, this is actually, like, really well written. Unbelievable directing. Like, James Cameron did an awesome job. And it just, I don't know, I just felt like, so, like, and like, what's her name? Oh, what's that girl's name? Because it's Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. Kate Winslet, beautiful woman. Leonardo DiCaprio, beautiful guy. But I felt like this movie really juxtaposes, like, what you should, like, what the decisions people make in who they want to be with or what they want to do with their lives from a heart perspective and a head perspective, right? So on the outside, you know, Kate Winslet's going to be married to this, like, really successful man. You know, her mom is like, oh my God, like, we have no money. Like, we just have a name. Like, you know, you should be with this man. Like, he's going to solve all of our problems. And on the outside, it's like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense why you should do it. But on the inside, she's like, I feel like I'm going to prison. Like, I don't want to be with this man. Like, this man doesn't love me and doesn't want to be with me for me and whatnot. Whereas when she's with Jack, yeah, like he's a little bit of, he's kind of like a paper bag in the wind, right? He just kind of gets flown to wherever he's going to go, and he kind of figures it out and whatnot. But, it might be a little bit more of a up and down lifestyle, but you're going to have true love. Like, Jack loves Kate Winslet, or Rose, I think her name's Rose. Jack loves Rose for Rose, not for any other reason. He just loves Rose. And Rose loves Jack for Jack. No other reason. And it's this great juxtaposition through the whole movie about, like, what's the right thing to do? Should I follow my heart or should I follow my head? And that's such a human experience. It's like, I could take this job, it's going to make more money for me, but I really love what I do right now, and I love the people, and I love the way it makes me feel. And it's like, it's such a hard, or it's like, yeah. So, or people who are saying, I could choose this relationship because it provides safety, but that's all it has. It's just safety, nothing else. It provides me nothing else. Whereas I could go with this other person, and maybe it isn't as safe, but I get to experience true love, which I think everybody should experience, right? Like, the saddest part for Rose is that's like, she doesn't really talk about what she had after that, but it sounds like that's like the one brush of true love she had her whole life. And this woman lived till she was over 100.
Is it a true story?
No.
Oh, I was like, oh.
Not a true story. It's well written, though. Made you think. It's like one of those things where it's like, there are people that are real in the movie. There are real people in the movie. And then there's made up characters.
In your experience, do you always know when it's your heart as opposed to your history? Like, how do you know you're following your heart and not your history?
That's a great question. I don't know. I think I have it. I really do. I think the biggest thing when you follow your heart is that the person, let's just use it in the context of relationships, okay? Because I think relationships are a really easy one to define. When you find, at least for me, like for true love, it's like you find someone that you don't actually have to ever wear a mask with. You get to be who you are at the core of it, I can run up my stairs and scream and do weird things, and my wife's like, okay, whatever. And there's lots of things that, I'm not going to talk about my wife, but like there's lots of things that she does that I accept as well. There's some things I grind my teeth that I accept, but other times I'm like, yeah, I can accept that. But I think that's the whole thing, right? I think the whole thing with unconditional love is you literally love them unconditionally. You're like, I'm not expecting you to do anything for me, and I'm in, and I'm with you because I want to be with you, and I know that you love me for me, and I know that you accept me for me, and that's asking a lot of somebody to like love you, for everything about you. And I know there's things about me that would probably be difficult to love. So yeah, I think it's just, but it's so easy to not do that. It's just easy. It's like, you see it all the time with people. It's like, yeah, that person's probably not, like maybe that's true love, maybe it's not. But, I think that's kind of like you want to talk about non-duality, right? It's like when you are in unconditional love with someone, you do wrap yourself around each other, not in an entanglement, not like in an entanglement in a negative way, but like in a positive, like, hey, I'm choosing to intertwine. There's a difference between an entanglement, in my opinion, and intertwining. Like you're intertwining yourself around each other. So, to kind of feel that, you are me and I am you.
Will you explain the difference between intertwined and entanglement?
Okay, so like I feel like an entanglement is something that is created between you and another person. It could be subconsciously, it could be unconsciously, or it could be consciously, in which you two are entangled in a way of being that you don't feel is serving you.
Mm.
So like for example, like if if you call your dad every single time you have a bad day to yell at him, that's an entanglement between him and you. The entanglement for him is that he picks up the phone. The entanglement for you is that you call him every time you have a bad day. And it's on one of you to stop the entanglement, to unentangle yourself from one another. So it'd be on him to just not pick up the phone. Maybe he could text you and say, did you have a bad day? And then if you do start to get mad at him, he can say, you know what? I'm not going to be on this phone call anymore. And he hangs up. Or it's on you to recognize that every time you have a bad day that you would call your father and you yell at him. And you say, this isn't serving me anymore. And you move on. And intertwining is where you say, you know what? I am choosing to be in relation with this person and to, weave myself around this person for the betterment of both of us. And it's a conscious thing that both of you are choosing to do this. Right, I feel like an entanglement can just one person does it on the other person, like it's almost kind of like a violation in a way. Whereas the intertwining is it's you both are consenting to doing it.
That makes sense. Thanks for explaining that.
No problem. So and like there's this great really quickly. There's just this great scene where at the start, right, Rose is going to jump off the back of the ship, and Jack says to her, he's like, well, hey, look, if you jump, I jump. I'm going to have to come in there and I'm going to have to save you. And then you fast forward to when Rose is in a lifeboat and she like says, screw it. She like jumps off the lifeboat back onto the boat. Jack's like, what are you doing? Like, why'd you do this? He's like, well, look, if you jump, I jump. So I'm not leaving you. It's like, well, that's such an amazing thing. It's like she would rather risk her life to stay with Jack than to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get in the lifeboat and hopefully you find me.
So that's it. That's interesting. Up until that last part, I've been really thinking about this, like this heart history piece, because it's actually, for me anyway, not as obvious, I guess, as it is for you. In that sometimes things that feel really pulled in my heart they're actually just really strong conditionings that I believe to be true.
Fair.
So like in that last example, like I don't know if that's true love or if that's like crazy or if that's like conditioning or what that is. Because to die, we have this idea of like dying for another person is a really noble thing. I don't know if that's true. Like in that situation, like, I don't
think she's choosing to die. I think she's choosing to be there with Jack together in the situation. And
but weren't they going to die?
Well, no,
I don't remember this movie, obviously. What's that?
The ship was going to sink. The ship was going to sink. And she didn't want to leave Jack on the ship to sink while she was in the boat, in the rowboat, like in the lifeboat. And so she said, no, this is what I want to do. You could argue it either way. I'm just saying that she's saying, hey, you know what? Whatever happens, I'm going to accept whatever happens, but I want to be with you, which is like, I think that's a very...
I see. So she wasn't choosing death. She was just choosing to be with him.
No, she lives.
Oh. I saw it one time, like a long time ago.
She lives.
Okay.
She lives. Rose lives. But...
He dies.
He dies.
I know somebody dies. Okay, yeah.
Jack dies because there's a door that they find that floated in the water, and she goes up on the door, and then Jack has to stay in the water. And then
the door doesn't hold them both. Oh.
So he dies. I think pretty much everybody that ended up in the water died. I think
you couldn't survive that.
There was only like 5 people or 6 people that got pulled out of the water that lived. The water was -2 degrees Celsius. Like you had 30 minutes max, or else you were gonna die.
Yeah. No, I would have lasted a minute. Done.
You're like, okay, I'm coming back. But no, I just think that, and you think about with conditioning, right? It's really great with Rose because she's sitting at tea with her mom, and she looks over, and there's this like girl and her mom, and they're having tea, and the mom's like telling her what to do, like don't slouch, sit up, do this, do that. And so like her marrying, I think his name was Cal, is conditioning. This is what she's supposed to do. This is who you're supposed to marry. Jack is the antithesis of who you're supposed to marry. Jack is the antithesis of who you're even supposed to be with. Right? Because when they're walking, after he saves her and they're walking along the boat, they're walking along the boat, she's talking to him about, she's talking to him about her marriage and all this kind of stuff. And he's just like, do you love him? And he's like, what did you say? It's like, I'm just asking you, do you love the guy? And he's like, what kind of question is that? It's such an uncouth thing to say to me. Like, I don't know you. Like, why? And he's like, it's a pretty simple question. Do you love the guy? Yes or no? That's him kind of, I feel, breaking the conditioning open a little bit. Like, finding the proper through line through the conditioning. It's like, I'm going to cut through all this bullshit, and I'm going to get to the heart of the question, which is, do you love the guy or not? Do you love Cal or not? It's not about what Cal brings you. It's not about what Cal offers you. It's not about the life that you're going to get with Cal. It's, do you love the guy or do you not love the guy? It's pretty simple.
Okay, I'm going to push on that just because, for the sake of argument, because I think it's interesting. That in and itself, though, is conditioning, right?
In what?
That the idea that that the person you marry is someone you should love, that's conditioning. It's just a different kind of conditioning, because that's not always been the case, right? So that's what I mean. It's like, that's where it gets to be really difficult, because that's also conditioning.
Well, yeah, but like if you're like in an arranged marriage, obviously you may or may not love the person.
Yeah.
Okay, like, or if you're like in a society in which there's no social mobility, well, then you're kind of stuck with who you got to pick from. Or like if you're in a society in which, like you can't be in a same-sex marriage, let's just say, well, then you're kind of stuck. Like maybe you really love the librarian at your local library, but you can't be with that person because they're the same sex as you. Like, there's lots of things in which you're kind of potentially forced into this. The only point that I'm trying to make is I think that everybody should experience true love at some point in their life, because it's a really awesome non-duality feeling. Because the only other way that's like, like for, a real easy non-duality feeling is if you have sex with somebody. But it's like, okay, whatever. What are you going to just be constantly having sex with someone to feel the non-duality? Like, you got to be able to feel it not doing something like that. And so I'm just saying that the movie Titanic really encapsulates the conditioning. Like Cal's with Rose because she's pretty and has a good name and... is going to be a good wife for him and do what he's, essentially he's the man of the house. So what he says goes. And he's like, this is great. So he essentially has a slave that's not a slave. It's really great for Rose's mom because he gets to rehabilitate Rose's mom's, it gets to rehabilitate the family name. It pays off all of her debt. Like, there's a point in which she's like, are you telling me that you wouldn't marry this man and I'd have to go be a seamstress? It's just like, how is this Rose's problem? Like, not Rose's problem. There's also conditioning on the classes of the boat. Look, a lot of the poorest people got stuck. They locked the doors. Y'all stay down there. We got to get the first class people off first.
There's a great scene. In?
Well, this is in the movie. I don't know if it's actually true, but I'm just saying in the movie they lock these people down in the quarters down there. There's a really sad scene where like the water's coming up and there's this mom with two kids like just telling the kids a story as the water's pooling up towards the bed. It's like this is shit. Eventually, like they find a way out. They like break down the door or whatever it is, but
that's heartbreaking. I actually wasn't aware that there were people who were like, say, quote unquote poor were even on that boat. I thought it was only wealthy people.
There's like I think there's first class, and then there was like I think there was like first and second class, and I think there was like stewage or store. I can't remember. Like, steerage, which is in the bottom of the boat.
Yeah.
So.
Oh. That's really sad. Sorry.
But yeah, there was a lot. I think there was a lot of conditioning on that boat. There's a scene where Rose's mom and they're like on the top of the deck and and then she just looks and she says, "Are we going to be being assigned seating based on class in these boats?" And Rose is just like, "You do realize the whole thing's going to just like we're going to sink, right? We're trying to save people's lives, like." The water doesn't care how rich you are. You're going to die either way.
Does the mom get saved?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Mom lives. But then Rose, at the very end, changes her name. She changes her name to Dawson.
Oh. Is that Jack's last name?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm following this movie. Oh. Was the guy she was going to marry on the boat too?
Yeah, he lives.
Oh, he does live.
He lives. He like takes a kid that was like left behind and says, "I have a child," and gets on the boat with the child. That's how he saves himself.
Oh. He saves the kid too, I guess.
He saves the kid. But there were only supposed to be women and children on the boat.
Oh.
Men were kind of stuck to fend for themselves.
What an awful thing that happened.
Oh, it's crazy. There was like over 2,000 people on it. I think only 750 people lived.
Oh.
And you know what the crazy thing? I think only one of the lifeboats went back to look through the survivors. One or two.
What were the other ones doing?
So all these lifeboats watching the boat sink.
They did. What? Sorry.
Yeah.
They had a boat. They let the
Multiple
people
boats.
off.
I think they had like 12 or 13 or 15 boats in the water or something like that.
Like not
and
enough.
The best part was that.
Yeah.
And these boats weren't filled. Some of these boats only had 15 or 20 people on them. They're supposed to fit 70 people.
Why?
Chaos. I don't know.
And then okay, so I'm just trying to understand. Then the lifeboats go somewhere where they deposit the people and then they're empty?
Oh, no. They're not depositing people. They're just in the ocean. It took 4 days for someone to come save them.
Oh, okay. So they didn't go back, but they also thought they didn't have space? Or what was what?
Well, they're worried that they were going to be overrun by people trying to get saved or whatever it is, right? But I'm sitting here saying to myself, like...
Sorry.
I'm like, you're not going to go back. Try and save some people. I don't know.
It also
There's
just
the
doesn't
non-duality.
I know, right? Like...
We ain't the same as those people in
Yeah.
the water. They all can drown.
I just can't imagine going through the rest of your life having that, the weight of that, like having sat in a lifeboat with a bunch of other seats and just letting people die. And then it just occurs to me how often now that happens all over the world, where people have the ability to help and rescue and whatever, and they just are like, that's not my problem. I'm going to take care of myself.
There's a recent example of this in Hawaii, the island of Kauai. A helicopter crashed. I don't know, like just off the beach somewhere. there's this beach called Hanakapia on the north side of Kauai. There's a bunch of people on the beach, and they're just on their phones filming it. Not everybody in the helicopter. I don't think the people who had died in the helicopter, but they died because they all drowned. Everybody's just like, yeah, people are weird.
Sorry.
Now I get. There's really bad riptides up there, but you could create like a human line. Like you just like everybody's holding on to one another and slowly go into the water, and you try and save some people.
It's so interesting. I've actually often wondered about this for myself whether it's a conditioned response or not a conditioned response of when something happens. There's no hesitation in jumping in. There's an accident that happened in front of me. I was driving down the freeway. This is like many years ago on Highway 101 going north. It's near Santa Barbara. It's a 2-lane at that time. At that part of the highway, I think it's 3 lanes. 101 is only 3 lanes. And this truck comes from the on-ramp and just cuts across all 3 lanes, hits the barrier. Thank God there was a barrier, and spins around. And the person is half hanging out of the window. So there's no thought. I pull my car over and I run across the highway. Like I don't even look to see if there's a car. I just run across the highway, and the guy's bleeding out of his mouth. So immediately I start doing, like whatever stuff to help, and then get someone to call 911 or whatever. Right. So I say this because when I was working with this person on the book on consciousness around conditioning, I used this example as a non-conditioned response, and he was like, no, that's totally conditioned. And I was like, is it? And I actually have no answer to this, but I am really curious about the difference of it's happened a few times because I live in LA and I would travel in California, and accidents happen all the time, and there's never a hesitation. It doesn't matter. I saw somebody in San Francisco being held down by somebody else, and there's a crowd around them, and I just went in and I was like, what's going on here? It just didn't. I was with my former husband, and he's like, what are you doing? He's like, don't get involved. His whole thing is like, don't get involved, let things be. And I would have to stop. So then maybe it is a conditioned response. Anyway, I'm very curious about your thoughts on this because I actually have no idea.
Well, I don't think it really matters. Like, who cares if it's conditioned or not, right? Like, it's like, I always go back to like what they say in Al-Anon. It's like, keep what you want, leave the rest. And that's kind of how I look at when you scan your body for entanglements or whatever it is, right? It's like, you might have conditioning, but that might serve you, right? Not everything that is conditioned is bad.
Yeah,
like,
I'm just curious. Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's bad. And so I think you can go like insane being like, well, was that conditioning or was that not conditioning? It's like, you're just going to go insane.
I slowly descend into madness. I think it's more of a curiosity of what is, because the flip side of that is, what does it feel like to be free? Right. So.
Well, I think being present is freedom. I think that's a form of freedom. Because when I'm just here in this moment and we're at 58 minutes and 24 seconds and this is the only thing I'm thinking about, that's freedom, because I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm only thinking about this. Like, I really want to bring this up. So you remember when Rand and Matt have to go into Ruiden in the ale waste? Okay.
Yes.
And so remember when Matt's with him, right? Matt's not even supposed to be in Ruiden, right? Like, it's just like, what are you doing? Like, Rand is supposed to go in there to figure out if he's the Dragon Reborn. Mm-hmm. Why are you going with him? He's like, I'm going with him. It's like, I have to go with him, right? And so he goes, and he ends up going through the doorway that's not a door, right? And he ends up in the I think it's the ale fin world. Okay, you remember when he asked like the three things of the ale fin, which he's like, I don't want to be affected by Aes Sedai, so they give him the fox head medallion. I want to remember all of my past memories, because he was thinking he's going to get the memories when he was holding the dagger from Shadow Logoth, right? But he ends up getting all the memories he's ever had ever since he was thrown into the pattern. And then and whatever, he gets like the cool little, like the little spear he gets, but then they're like, you're gonna die and come back to life, right? And so anyways, he's like hanging on a tree, like dying, right? And Rand's like, oh my god, like saves him. He's like, oh my god, I came back to life. But then he has all these memories. He speaks in random language. He speaks in the old tongue all the time, right? Like when he's like hanging out with Birgit's just like him and her and just talking the old tongue. He's like, wait, what language was I speaking? And they're like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, okay, well, you get it because you're from the old time, because you're like a hero of past. But I think like, because then he gets all these old memories. He gets all of his memories. He doesn't get really any of the memories he had when he was holding the dagger and he was all crazy. But he gets all the memories from all of his past lives when he was a general and this and that. And he uses it. And people are like, what are you coming up with? Like, what is that? He's like, oh, this is what happened this time, so this is how we're going to do it. It's like, okay, is that conditioning? Or is like, he's just, it's like, it's like he's doing it. He's like, this is what I'm doing. I remember this. Like, I think at the end of the day, I don't know where we get a lot of this stuff from, right? I think people are like, well, you have conditioning from your upbringing. It's like, okay, but like I could have conditioning from the amount of times I've come to this earth. Mm-hmm. Or like, I don't know. But I think at the end of the day, right, it's one of these things where this is kind of where you have the duality and the individuality, where the individuality, you get to say, okay, is this action that I have serving me? Yes or no? Is this entanglement that I have? The entanglement most likely is not serving you, just an FYI, but whatever. It might be serving you, right? All these different things you get to kind of like, is this algorithm? Is this conditioning? Is this serving me? And if it's not serving you, you can then ask the universe, well, how do I not have this serve me? And the universe will most likely come back and start showing you how to unentangle yourself from that person, or show you how to remove that conditioning from yourself. And I had this whole thing, like I remember when I used to work with one of my old practitioners, like we were talking about entanglements and all these kind of things, stuff with my parents, my siblings, all these kind of stuff, right? But then I start to realize, there's actually stuff that I've been given by those people that I actually think is useful. It's not all bad, not all good, but there's some things where I'm like, I don't want that conditioning. That's not what I want. I want to break the chain. That chain I don't want anymore. Or I don't want that entanglement with that person, or I don't want this. There's other stuff where I'm like, you know what? That's probably where I got it from. And you know what? I think that this is actually useful, and I think I should keep this.
Yeah. It's that can't help but thing, though, that makes me, like that phrase, I can't help but, that,
like you can't help but help?
Right, that then feels not free, right? There's nothing free about that, even if it's beneficial.
What do you mean? You're like, we literally have just spent an hour talking about duality and non-duality, and now you're talking about how you... No, just hear me out.
Yeah, okay.
Just hear me out. We've just talked about this whole time, and then you have this undying ability to want to help other people because you most likely have a connection with that person, where it means you are in a non-dual space, and now you're saying, well, maybe this is conditioning. It's like, Jesus, it's like...
Well, this is the podcast called Mental Spelunking. I just want to explore. I don't have an answer.
Explore. I'm just saying, but I'm just sitting here being like, that's an amazing quality that you have this call to action. Like, there's not a lot. Like, there's so few people that have a call to action, right? That just when stuff's happening, you're like, boom, I'm doing this. Like, I remember you were telling me that story, and the cops were like, well, like, do you have like, are you like, did you used to be in the army, or you're a cop? You're like, no, and then you just like get in your car and leave, and I'm like, this is awesome. It's like, I did my job. I'm leaving now.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, they asked me if I was a doctor. I said no. They're like, are you a nurse? I was like, no. They're like, what is happening here? I was like, he was injured, and now I'm gonna go.
I think the whole quest for freedom, right? I'm not saying that it's a fool errand, but it might be a fool errand, right? It's like, what exactly
It might be.
is
It
freedom?
totally might be.
Like, what exactly is freedom, right? Like, I had a child, right? Like, I'm not exactly intentionally ever going to be free now. Like, I feel like I have a celestial bond with this child. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
No. I mean, that's like, it's a good question, actually, Liam. Like, what is freedom? Because if that were the only, if freedom were defined as doing whatever you want whenever you want, then we'd never procreate. So that obviously can't be the definition of it.
No. Well, but like, and I think freedom is kind of one of those things where it's like in the eye of the beholder, right? Like, you could see someone with 9 kids and they could say they're free, whereas the other person, like you are in a freaking prison sentence. You've got 9 children. It's like their ages 1 to 9. It's like you're gonna be with these people forever. Like we have a mutual friend, right? Where he's constantly always being like, oh, I can't hang out with you. I can't hang out with you. It's like, well, maybe you should probably leave your basement suite. Like that might be a good thing for you, and but on the other side, we might think that he is not in freedom, but he might feel like he is in freedom. Like, it's such an individuated experience, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, so.
No, what are you going to say?
No, you go.
I was just going to say, though, that's why I like asking the question, because it's not so much that I'm not trying to drive myself insane. I think I'm already there anyway.
Oh, you're not insane.
Teasing. It's more that I find it useful to every so often just do a little check of, well, how am I actually feeling around this experience? Because if it's something that I have no freedom around, or if it doesn't feel right, then I should look at it. But if I never think about it because I've already decided it's beneficial or not beneficial, I don't know. I just like every so often checking in with myself of, does this still feel okay, or I don't know, not?
Well, I think that's really good because it coincides with like one of the steps. It's like with step 10, right? Step 10 is like continue to take personal inventory, and when you were wrong, you promptly admitted it. Like I think it's a really important thing to continue to take personal inventory. It's like, hey, is that quality of mine something that is serving me? Is that relationship serving me? I ran into a person that I was friends with in high school with another friend of mine that I do spend time with who was from high school. It was a very universal thing, right? Because him and I were talking about this person when we were going to get lunch, and then when we were getting lunch, that person was there. It's like, oh wow, this is so cool. But like it was one of these things where after we left, my friend and I were talking, and he's like, man, like it'd be cool to maybe see that person. I was like, I don't think so. Like I know what that guy's got going on in his life. I don't want anything to do with that. I find that the stronger, like the more you build your relationship up with yourself, the more love you have for yourself, the easier it is to kind of figure out, that's good, that's not good. Or, that doesn't serve me, I'm going to serve that. I'm going to go over here. And the more present you can get, the more you can listen to the wind or the universe, or whatever you want to call it, right? And you can start to get aligned with where the universe wants you, right? You can have and that's where you can get your conscious, subconscious, and unconscious currents all aligned. And you can get your short-term why, your medium-term why, and your long-term why to all be aligned. And you're kind of like, hey, I'm now in the river, and I'm just going. You still have like a rope if needed. You still have a life vest if needed, because maybe the river gets a little rough and whatnot. You need to be, you don't want to just be like, I'm just going to go wherever. That doesn't really end up working out very well. But I feel like that's like pretty sweet, because then you're present. You're not worried about the past. You're not worried about the future. You're just kind of in the here and now.
Yeah. So going back to the lifeboats, which is still like...
It's still messed up. Someone actually asked, like, something like in the movie, right? This woman's like, "What are we doing? Like, these are all of your husbands that are like dying in the water. What are we gonna do? Just not go back and save them? Like, let's go." And then like one of the guys that like the thing that's really interesting too, right? You're in these lifeboats, right? You can row.
Yeah.
There's like no men in them, and like no offense, but like the majority of the women that are in there are all these like first class dainty women. Like at least this is what the movie portrayed. So like imagine you actually had to row. Like, and you only have 20 people in there, and some of these women are old and frail, so they can't row. Like, what are you guys just gonna just sit in the freaking Atlantic off the coast of Newfoundland? Like, I hope to God someone saves me. What happened? Like, when they crashed, it was actually they got really lucky in the sense from this perspective. When they crashed, it was like there was barely any wind, and the waters were super calm. Imagine you actually had to row because it was like you were going down to the middle of nowhere. I don't know, like. But anyways, this woman stands up to these your husband. This guy's like, if you don't shut your mouth, I'm going to put you in the water.
Oh, did they end up rowing in life? Did they have someplace to? That's what I was asking. Did they have someplace to row to?
No. Another boat came and saved them.
Okay.
They put out the SOS, and another boat came to save them at their coordinates.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine leaving people like that. It just doesn't.
What an awful way to die, too. Freezing to death in water. Or drowning.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
It's so sad. You know what's interesting, just as an aside, but related to the Titanic, is that, and I'm saying this knowing I do not know James Cameron, but from the little bits that he shows us, his fascination with that particular incident has led to so many amazing developments in technology and like in terms of ocean exploration, in terms of movies, and just storytelling, that it's really interesting how, to me, just looking at that is one of the things he's most curious about. And that curiosity has led to things that you would never have expected if someone said to you, I'm interested in the Titanic, right? You wouldn't have expected, that would lead to like all this amazing technology, all these incredible movies.
Yeah, I think that there's like great, like sometimes you need inspiration. You need other people to inspire you, right? And I think it's great when you have these people who push boundaries.
His work in the ocean is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And in order to
like, what does
explore,
he do? I don't actually know anything about this.
So he's responsible for some of the first submersibles. He's done a lot of really interesting research work actually in submersibles. There's a great documentary about him and his work that I've watched. The ocean is really fascinating to me, so things like that I've watched quite a bit of. But it's the camera technology, because that camera technology, in order to capture what's happening on the ocean floor, is what he's been responsible for developing, and probably among other things. Like I said, I'm not an expert, and we only see the aspects of him that he wants us to see, but that to me was really astonishing. That was what wanted him to push those boundaries. And he was one of the first people to explore, maybe not the first people, but like he's done a lot of exploration of the Titanic itself and contributed a lot to research and understanding of what happened to the Titanic. And then from what I understand, that same technology that was used on the submersible is also used in his movies, or vice versa. Like he brought it back and forth. He supports ocean exploration in a way that I think almost no one else on the planet does. It's truly amazing. And it stems from, again, my understanding, this passion about the Titanic. It's just so cool. It just makes you see that if you really, like, speaking to following your heart, look at that, we're coming all the way around. Speaking to following your heart, right? Like following his heart on this one really hyper-specific thing has led to these amazing, amazing things for all of humanity.
Well, and Titanic, I think Titanic is still like in the top 5 for highest grossing movies of all time.
Oh,
Came
really?
out, it came out like 30 years ago.
Oh, wow. Is it really that old? Wow.
Came out in 1997. Like, okay, whatever, it was 29 years ago. But like, still, if you were to like inflation adjust it, it's like it's way surpassed any of the other ones that are there. And James Cameron's other films, I think he's got Avatar, like he's got, I think 2 or 3 of the top 5 grossing movies of all time. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. That was another one, Avatar, with the technology. And again, don't really know much about it, but from what I understand, the technology that he used for Avatar was unprecedented at the time. It was a completely novel technology. It's just, yeah, it's really interesting. And of course, the story he's telling with Avatar is related to his love for the ocean and for the planet. So it's like it all comes around.
It does all come around. And I also think too, I think the other thing that's really cool though about it, right, as you said, right, when you're following your heart, following your heart, it's a just hold on, just checking something. When you're following your heart, it's a how did I put this? There's like a like a feeling that what you're doing is greater than what you're at than you, in a way, right? Like you're doing it because you love it, but you also don't even know why you're doing it, but you know it's right.
Yeah.
And that could be anything. That could be anything about what you do, right? There's lots of really cool people out there that do things that are amazing every single day. And, and it just it's kind of funny in our society that we only focus on the things that just make an unbelievable amount of money. That's like all we focus on. That's the only thing that really seems to matter these days is, who can make the most amount of money, but and like not even doing productive things to make a lot of money. You're like, I can just like scam people and make lots of money, and that's okay. I can just ask the president for a pardon, and I most likely will get it. Whereas when you go back in time when we didn't have this kind of similar idea, right? There's lots, but sorry. Even through all that, where people are just focused on making money, there's lots of people out there that are still doing really cool things that, they're just following their heart.
Yeah. The unsung heroes we spoke about a few episodes ago when you were talking about greatness. And I was bringing up that there are people who do great things all the time that we just don't hear about. Yeah, because we're not focused on that aspect. I think it would be so interesting to do, I don't know, a series or something on that.
It would be great.
Right? On the greatness of just everyday people and the amazing things that they do and the way that they contribute. That's so much, in some ways, so much more meaningful.
Yeah. Well, I think like people who are, and these are people who are just following their heart, doing their thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like I got a friend of mine who does listen to this. Like his dad got an award from his local community food bank because he's like the longest serving volunteer there. He served 30 years. He's in his 90s. It's cool.
Oh,
yeah. It's like, how amazing is that? Like this guy goes a good chunk of every week to this food bank and does it to this day, even in his 90s. And, that's like a pretty admirable thing to do.
Yeah.
And he's not looking for notoriety. He's just doing it because this is what he thinks he should be doing, and it feels right.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss that that we don't hear about people who do those things anymore. I might be misremembering because I grew up in a small town, but my memory is that our paper used to highlight those types of things all the time. And now the town doesn't even have a paper. Nobody knows.
Well, I think that that's just how things have changed, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with how things have changed in a way, because everything's based on clicks now.
Yeah.
It's not even about who has good content and who can get the most clicks.
Yeah.
And there's an algorithm to get the most clicks. It's like you either have to take off all your clothes to the point where you still have some clothes on, but there's just barely any clothes. You say highly controversial things, or you just like talk about how much money you make. It's kind of the same, or you use like very divisive things. Like, you know, there's a whole thing that Facebook figured out that's like the more controversial, the more divisive, the more impressions and the more interaction posts got. So, you know, when you're for profit, right, you're like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. And the thing about it with local newspaper, right? Sure. Okay. Hey, look, they got to sell ads. I'm not trying to sit there and say they got to make a business, but they could also throw in the odd story that, you know, about this. It's like, hey, here's a local person doing ABC. Yeah. You know, it's pretty hard to, and then how the other news places, whether it's your local news or national news, right? They kind of figured out that, oh, well, we should talk about divisive things because we get more people to watch. Yeah. So it's just that ball kind of got taken and run with. But I agree. You know, I think that there's a lot of people out there that are doing really great things that are doing them for the sake of doing them. But you know what? They might not even want the notoriety.
No, I'm not saying that they should have notoriety. It's just that it's almost like just bringing those types of actions in the way that you just said it. You didn't say the person's name. No. But just letting the world know that's valued in a way that it just isn't. It isn't made clear that that's even a valuable thing.
Well, I don't think it's valued right now. Like I think
it is to us. That's why we talked about it.
No. It's like I'm just saying. Like if you go look at what people are interacting with in general, you know, that's not really being talked about as much. Like I think if you go look back in like post World War II or during World War II or whatever, it's all about like what can you do for everybody else. It's not about what you can do for yourself. Yeah. Whereas now it's very much like I just focus on me and me only, and you know, even if that screws somebody else over, well, at least it helps me. Yeah. Yeah, it's sitting on the lifeboat of the Titanic watching it drown. When did the Titanic being happy about it? Yeah, exactly. And being happy about it. Being like, this is great. Look at those guys. They're freezing to death in the water. I'm in this boat. Boom. Here, hold on. Let me live stream it. Yeah. Look at those people. When was the Titanic? When did it sink? Do you remember? I think it's 1914. April 21st, 1914. Oh, so during World War I? April 15th, 1912. Sorry, 1912. April 15th, 1912. That makes sense. So before World War I. Yeah. It started sinking on the 14th. It hit the iceberg at 11:40 on the 14th, and then it fully sunk, I think, at 2:30 in the morning or something like that. Oh, that's so fast. It went down so fast. It was well, so what had happened was, so it's funny because the guy that was the captain, this is going to be his last voyage. The guy that owned the company was very much like, we should get into New York a day early, so they were just going full steam ahead. They were just going on their maiden voyage. And they had gotten reports of icebergs. And he's like, it's not to worry about it. So then on that night, the water was super flat. So there was no waves to kind of give you the contrast of the iceberg. Right. And because the ship was so big, the rudder wasn't big enough to move a ship of that size as fast as they probably needed it to move.
Oh.
And so when they saw the iceberg, they were actually pretty close. So they turn as hard as they possibly could. And then they had to turn it, they had to put it into reverse. So like, you have to understand, right? Like the captain tells them to put it into reverse. It goes down to the engine room. They're having to turn it into reverse. But this stuff takes time, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, imagine the iceberg as a turnpike imagine the iceberg as a turnpike on like an exit ramp.
Mm-hmm.
They just sideswipe this iceberg, but they're going fast, like super fast, right?
Wow.
And it just is ripping open the hull, and there was all these different compartments in the bottom, right? And so it ended up getting, I think, 5 of the compartments, and like literally the guy that did it, or this is what they said on the movie. It was like, okay, if we get into 5, if it's in 5 compartments, it's gonna sink. And then the guy that owned the sea liner was like, I thought it was an unsinkable ship, and he's like, no, this thing's made of iron. I'm telling you, it's gonna sink. Yeah, sunk pretty fast.
Would it have been better? Did anybody figure out if they just hit it head on?
Well, that's what I was actually thinking about too. I was like, it might have actually been better if they just hit it head on. Might have.
I don't know.
Because I think as they sideswiped it, right? Because the thing, like an iceberg is like pretty strong,
Yeah.
like it's a pretty big mass. And so when it's ripping along the side, right, it's just opening. And they it's too bad.
Yeah, it's awful. This brings me to something that I like is I feel a good place to end on, which is at that time with the class stratification, people didn't know each other, which is another reason why it's easy to say, I'm just not going to help, or I don't care. Because if you don't hold the perspective of non-duality, it really is just an othering, right? Like, we lock the poor people in the basement, whatever. So there's this wonderful person I've met recently we've been talking a lot about how things are moving into a space of hyperlocality, even though it feels like everything is very global. But the need for hyperlocality and meeting your neighbors. So I know some of the neighbors in this building because I used to live here, but I don't know everybody. So I've been on this mission to introduce myself to people when I meet them. And I was going to bake brownies and go around and give them to everybody by way of introduction, because I thought, actually, it is true. We don't know each other at all. And because of all the way things have gone over the last however many years, because everything's so divisive, our first thought is that somebody else isn't safe. I mean, that was exactly what my former husband was trying to say to me. Don't stop on the street because it's not safe. But my natural thought is, and where I think the instinct to help is, my natural thought is, of course people are safe. Most people are safe. Like, very few people are not safe. Most people are worth helping, honestly. So why wouldn't you? But if you don't know them, it can make it really difficult. So I was thinking, what if we did an exercise to learn our neighbors, like an activity?
I think that's great. Like, on my street, we actually have a neighbor WhatsApp. So I actually know a lot of my neighbors already, which is really nice. And we have like neighborhood parties where like we just go to different people's houses and have potlucks and whatnot, which is really, or drinks or whatever it is, which is pretty nice. But I think it goes back to what we talked about a few episodes ago as well, about the idea of social capital, and the idea that, social capital has been going down for a long time, and it's talking about like how many dinner parties you have with your neighbor, with people, other people than yourself. How many times do you, like, how many clubs are you joining? Like, are you on the parent teachers association of your school? Things like that. We just don't interact. And, but I feel like there's a shift happening. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just feels like there's a shift where, like, I think your hyperlocality thing's right, where people actually do want to connect. People actually do want to, find a way to see, I was reading a report the other day where they're talking about how like young men are interacting with like religion more, or organized religion more, or whatever it is, right? It's like people are trying to find a power greater than themselves, or try to find a meaning greater than themselves. And when you operate in the non-duality space, that is how you find a meaning that is greater than yourself, right? Because you sit there and say, hey, well, you know, if I live on this street and I, you know, if I like do something really terrible to like my yard, let's just say, right? Like, let's just say I remove every single tree from my yard, right? Well, just because you don't like the trees, maybe someone else is actually enjoying them. Like in our city, in the city that I live in, right? If you tear down, like the city has essentially assessed every single tree in every single neighborhood, and they tell you, oh, you want to take down another tree? Okay, that's totally fine. It's a 250-year-old tree. You're gonna have to pay us $100,000, which I think's a good thing, right? Because it's like that's like a benefit to the collective, not just the individual. And so I think that's a good idea. Okay, so how many neighbors do we have to go meet?
That's quite a few. The building has, I think, 40 units in it. And I know maybe like 10 people. So. Okay.
So let me think. So I know 2 people down there. I know 2 people here. I know that person over there. I know my neighbor here. I know those. So I know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know 6 people I know 6 families on my street. So why don't we endeavor to meet one person? And if we meet more than one person, then that's a bonus.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to meet the building. That's my challenge for myself. But yeah, that's
your challenge. Okay. I'm just saying, like, let's just, you know, like, I think that, you know, let's make the goal achievable. And then if you meet all 40 people, then, you know, then you get a gold star.
I think I'll just be happy to know the people in the building. And I realize there's quite a few of them who I've met when I moved in and whose names I don't remember. So I want to go back and kind of when we say hi, we're really friendly, but I couldn't call them by a name if I needed to shout at them down the street. You want to know what their name is. So I need to fix that. Yeah. Yeah. So you're right. I mean, I'm going to be gone. I leave on Saturday. I'm gone for 2 weeks. So you're right. It probably does make sense to make it a little bit more achievable. But all right, we'll check in a month and see how we did.
Okay, 1 month. We'll see how many people we've met. And the best part about it is you're going to give them brownies and say, by the way, if you eat these brownies, you'll understand what I mean about non-duality. I swear. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time. We really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed it immensely. So, and I think Allison enjoyed it as well.
Yes, I did. Thank you.
But I won't speak for her. She did. Okay. She said she did. And we look forward to hearing from you. We look forward to talking to you guys in a month. All right. Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.